Can you see? I'm hoping that this is a joke, right? This is crazy, guys. This is just so crazy. So this is clearly negative. So hi guys, my name is dinma.obialor and I'm a YouTuber here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm your girl. Where do I start? So it all started from just a joke, literally, that I made with my husband. So just a while after my baby turned 5 months, I realized I was having a few symptoms. I was just, having some funny symptoms, right? And they were looking like pregnancy symptoms. I mean, being a woman that had gone through pregnancy the first time, my body sort of knew these funny symptoms. So I would feel very sleepy, very tired, and I would just not have an appetite, or I would sometimes want to eat extremely much, like eat so much, anything. So when I started having the symptoms, I googled it and I wanted to know like what the reason was. Found that sometimes when you're exclusively breastfeeding, you can have some of these funny symptoms and you can feel weird and everything. So I was like, okay, that's fine. So I just shoved it aside. And so one of the days when I just felt this funny symptom, I decided I was going to prank my husband. I was going to just play with him and say, "Oh, we're having another baby. Like, I think I'm pregnant again," and everything. I thought it was just going to be fun. So I did on the phone with my husband. I told him, he was at the office, he was at work, and I was like, "Babe, we're having another baby. I think we're having another baby. What if I'm pregnant again?" Like, I was just pulling his legs. And I don't know how he took it. He was just like, I don't know, my husband was a bit not, he was indifferent. He was just laughing and, being nice about it, because my husband is like open minded. He's somebody that actually feels like if you want to have all your babies at once, perfect. In fact, if he didn't want us to have our babies at once, it would probably be because I wasn't ready. Because after you have one baby, you don't want to come and have another baby again. And I don't know, if you're a woman and you've experienced childbirth, you will know that it's not something you really want to do back to back. Especially with me, I had the CS, and if you've actually not watched that my video on my birth story, labor and delivery, I'm going to put it somewhere up there and also link it down below. Okay, so I pranked my husband on the phone. And at the end of the day, I was just like, because I had checked everything, right? I was sure that I wasn't pregnant in my head. I was very, very sure. And I decided to prank him. And he was so indifferent. It was fine. He was just chilling. I even sent my husband a fake test because I had my test strip from before, right? I had my test strip from before. So I had sent my husband a picture of it. I was like, we're pregnant. This is another baby coming. And he was just like, you're joking. You're joking. Are you serious? And everything. And I just laughed about it. And I was like, okay, I'm joking. But on the second thought, I was like, what if the way you're feeling is actually pregnancy? What if? So I decided that I was actually going to take an actual test. So I went into my drawer, I took a test strip because I always have test strips. Like, it's part of the things I just have lying there in my drawer. And I don't even know why, because I wasn't preparing to have another baby. But for some weird reason, I had test strips just there, like in my drawer waiting. So I went to take it. Like, I took the test strips and I went into the bathroom and I did the test. And guys, I'm going to show you footages from that day. And I'm just going to let you guys watch that part. And we're going to come back to explain more. So guys, I'm literally here because I am shocked. Like, yeah, I have this in my hand, and I thought to record this because this might come in handy in the future. So I'm so shocked because
for some weird reason, I was just trying to play with my husband, right? Because I was having some weird symptoms. But that happens once in a while, right? And I was trying to tell him that, oh, we're gonna have another baby. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy a test and just test it, or just have it, because I had like to have some test kits in my house, just there. And I bought it, and I was like, I'm just gonna check it. Guys, can you see that second faint line? Good.
Okay, so I panicked. It was a faint line, but it was two lines, and that was it. That was the moment everything turned around. I couldn't breathe, literally, because I had made plans for the next few months. I had applied for a master's program. I wanted to just move on with my life after having my first and just see where life takes me. And then it was like I was going one step backwards again. Right at that moment, I was just upside down. I started to call my husband. I started to panic. I started to tell him so many things. I'm sure my husband was just going through a lot at that moment because I kept telling him how no, this was, as in it was not supposed to happen at this time. I was not ready. I was going to jump off a roof. I was panicking. I just wanted to, I don't know. I wanted to just leave my body and just go into another person's body. I was literally not having it. It was a lot for me. So I panicked. I did another test because I had a couple of strips. I started to use the test strips. I was like, no, there has to be something wrong. I did another test. I saw another faint line. That evening, I just went crazy. I decided to use water. So I started doubting the test strip. So I went to use water. I had to use water to ensure that the test strip did not have an issue because I ordered the test strip online and I was now having trust issues.
There's no faint second line in this thing. This is clearly negative. And this changes a lot.
So I tried with water and it was negative. So it means that there was nothing wrong with the test strip. I just went into a different realm. I was, I would not say depressed, but I was just finding it hard to process what was going on. So I decided to go to the hospital, I think the next day. So the next day I went to the hospital, I went to do a test. I got the result from the hospital, which I had to pick up like a few minutes later. Then I went to a pharmacy to go get a bunch of test strips. Like I said, I was having serious trust issues. I was just having issues comprehending. So while I was leaving the hospital, the lab guy told me that I should come back after a week to do the test again, even though he didn't entirely tell me, what it was. And I didn't want to know what it was. I just wanted to go home and check it myself. So I went home with the test and I remember not opening it for a few hours because I just didn't want to be bothered. So after a while, I opened it and it did say positive. But since the guy said I should come back after a week, I was thinking, okay, maybe there's an error somewhere. So because I was still in panic phase, I think 2 days later or 3 days later, oh yes, and then after that, I started taking a bunch of tests. They were all so faint, all so light. I mean, I started panicking. Like I have a picture of all the tests I took. They were just a lot. Like that's how much I panicked. That's how much I bought test strips. Like to just be sure that I was not dreaming. Guys, it was a lot. A few days later, I said I was going to go to my own hospital because the hospital that I went to initially was just a hospital close to my house, a family hospital not too far from my estate. So I decided that I was going to drive down to my own hospital to figure out what was happening. At this point, this whole situation had left a joke that I started with my husband to actually telling my husband that I don't know what's happening. Like, I have no clue. I'm confused right now. So I get to hospital and my doctor says I need to do a HCG test. That, you know, usually in the early stages of pregnancy would show you if something is going on or something is not. So when I did the HCG test, so first of all I was still in denial, but I was like, fine, let's do the HCG test. But I'm like, I don't think I am. I'm not. I'm not. I can't be. Do you get? I'm exclusively breastfeeding. This is just 5 months after I had my baby. It's just it doesn't make sense. Do you get? It just doesn't make sense. So I went out to do the HCG test, and when I got back to review the test with my doctor, she said it was really, really low. I really can't remember what it was now, but if I do find it, I'll probably go to put it on the screen. So they said when you are within a space of pregnancy, maybe like at the point where you find out that you're pregnant, you are supposed to have a particular level of HCG. Mine was very low. It was just very low. Yeah, it was just I mean insignificant. So the doctor just goes like, okay, so it's one of two things, right? It's either the pregnancy is just very, very, very early. We can't tell, right? I mean, it's very, very early and it's just forming, or you had an early loss. Whichever way, you're gonna have to come back and check this out, like, and just know. At this point, I was just like in zero denial. Like my head just went off. I still kept ranting to my husband. God bless him, because he just took a lot of heat. I kept ranting to my husband. I was like, how could we do this? How could you do this to me? How could we do this right now? Like, I'm not ready. And we are not ready. Like, we just had a baby. Like, what's happening? I still have a baby. And yeah, like what's going on? So I went back home and I tried as much as possible to ensure that everything doesn't get to me. And I decided I was going to wait a few days. That was going to make it a week from when I did my first test at the hospital close to my estate, right? That's the family hospital. So I was like, okay, fine, let's just get this out of our mind. It can't be true. I was treading with caution, but at the same time, I was just like, you know, trying to shove it aside till I go do my next test. Fast forward to a few days later, I went back to the hospital to do my test.
I decided to take it this morning, and I took it this morning, and it was a clear negative, like clear negative. Mind you guys, I have done like between last week or last 2 week, last a week and a few days ago, and now I have done like 3 home tests, and I have done a blood test, and all of them did say pregnant, and now it's a clear negative. So now I've taken this other one, like this is probably nice to me, and like you see this, it's just clearly one line. So
Lo and behold, it was a clear negative. I remember driving from the office that day to the hospital, doing the test, and having to wait around, I think, 30 minutes to an hour to get the test back. I think I came back home, waited, and went back to get the test um, from the hospital. And when I opened it, I couldn't even wait. I saw a clear negative, and I was like, okay, okay. Somebody was playing a trick on me. I was like, nothing is happening, it's fine. So after that, I went back again to do a test, like a home test, just to be sure that I didn't need to go back to my hospital, because I didn't want to go to my hospital again. It would have just been process upon process. I was like, no need to go back to my hospital if the test and the test strip at home is saying negative, so there's no point, I'm not pregnant. So I did the home test, and then it was a clear negative also. And I called my husband. I was like, this is the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. Let us just move on from this. Like, let's pretend like it didn't happen. So that was it. Like, yeah, I needed to take a break off what had happened. So when my son turned 6 months, we traveled to Abuja we just we went for a friend's wedding. Me and my husband, we dropped my son off with his grandparents for the weekend. We went off, had date nights, had red wine, visited family, just had fun. We just took our mind off everything and we just wanted to move on. Like it was time to just move on and just clear our head. Yeah, but that was just the beginning. I can't even explain. You think the story is over, right? It is not.